Hey, are you a business owner, entrepreneur, or professional? If so, we want you to apply to be a featured guest on our show. My name is Adam Torres, and I host the Mission Matters series of podcasts. I've recorded over 3,000 episodes, and we are just getting started. How do you know if you'd be a good guest to be on the show? Well, only one way to find out, and that's to apply, but I'm going to let you in on a little secret. We want guests that have a story to tell, guests with a brand, a product, or a service that can benefit my audience of listeners. If this sounds like you, go to missionmatters.com and click on Be Our Guest to apply. I'd love to talk to you and get to know more about your story. Again, head on over to missionmatters.com and click on Be Our Guest to apply. All right, now let's get into the show.
Hey, I'd like to welcome you to another episode of Mission Matters. My name is Adam Torres. You can follow me on Instagram at @AskAdamTorres to keep up with my book releases, book tour schedule, signings, all that other good stuff. Always love to connect with you there. And as always, if you'd like to apply to become a co-author of one of my upcoming books, just head on over to the website, missionmatters.com, and click on Become an Author to apply. All right, so today I have Tarush Aggarwal on the line, and he's founder and CEO at 5X. Tarush, welcome to the show.
Hey, Adam. Thank you so much for having me. Looking forward to it.
All right. So, Tarush, you got a popular topic today. So how you're helping companies convert data to money. There's a lot of, in the revenue, there's a lot of business owners, entrepreneurs, and executives that listen to this show just for that. They want tips. They want to know how they can succeed, and they want to learn more from our guests. So I'm excited to get into that, but I'll start this show like I start them all, with our Mission Matters. So Tarush, we at Mission Matters, we amplify stories for entrepreneurs, executives, and experts. So that's our mission here. Tarush, what mission matters to you?
Sure. So Adam, at 5X, what we're really focused on is helping companies convert data to dollars. So, today, modern day companies are realizing the importance of leveraging data. Unfortunately, what we're seeing is that it's non-trivial to really extract value from data. In order to do this, you need to have the modern data stack. There's 5 layers across it, all the way from data collection, ingestion, storage, data modeling, reporting. Each of these layers today has a $1 billion player. So just in order to get started, you need to sign 5 enterprise contracts. You need to hire data engineers to set up the stack. So, it's really non-trivial to do this. So, at 5X, our goal is, how do we make this very, very simple for you? So, we offer the modern data stack as a service so that you can focus on, converting data to dollars without the complexity of actually setting up the data stack for yourself.
Man, that's awesome. And so really, another way I look at it is you're democratizing data. Like you're letting other people access it and you're letting them have access. So as you mentioned, like creating the stack and all the other things, like sure, if you're a large, Fortune 500 company, or if you're at a certain amount of revenue, like that's possible, right? And not saying it's the best route, by the way, but it takes time. It takes quite a bit of resources just in terms of like human capital, like people that have to go do the work, right? So like what you're doing is providing a better way. So I guess what's happening in companies today? Like why aren't they able to kind of get access to or get value from their data?
Yeah, absolutely. That's a great question. So, if you look at kind of how the world's changing, right? Like today, every company is doing digital marketing. This wasn't necessarily the case 10 years ago. And it's kind of happened because of what Google did, making search as prevalent as it's today. And because of the web and because of search, companies now need to compete digitally, and hence digital marketing has really become that important. Now, on the macro level, in the next 10 years, data is going to be super important. And the companies that kind of don't do data are not going to survive. The thing with data is it's a lot more technical than digital marketing. So, in order for companies to do data, as we spoke about earlier, you need the modern data stack, which again, if you're a large enterprise company, you can do, but it's much harder for, Series A or seed round company to actually go do this. And then the second piece is, hiring data engineers. And the big problem with this is, 90% of companies out there don't have the expertise to go hire a data engineer. Very fundamentally, they don't speak data engineering, and these data engineers out there, they don't speak company. So there's a big mismatch. So, because of this, it's really non-trivial to do this. And what's going to happen is in the next 10 years, it's going to have to happen. And, just one last point over there, the sort of Silicon Valley approach to, building companies is all about building products. So, a lot of your listeners might be familiar with Snowflake or Tableau or Looker. These are all amazing tools out there. But fundamentally, in order to get value from these tools, you still require to have your own technical resources. And, we're just living in a world where there's going to be an unlimited shortage for engineers over the next 10, 15 years. It's kind of non-trivial for companies to kind of do this themselves. This is why most companies today don't get value from data.
No, that's great. And I like the idea that you're talking about is that like in the next, 10 years or even sooner for some, I mean, like it's going to be a big deal. And this isn't like something that you can just catch up on. Like it's something that like takes time and you're accumulating. I'm not saying you can't go back and do the work, but it's just like every day that you're not doing it, it's not like there's a cost to that, not just in maybe revenue, but like the opportunity cost overall of the insights you could be getting from data and what you could like product development, like all these things like that you maybe don't even understand could are a potential that, because you're not harnessing the data. So I mean, I love it. It's a great point that you're making, and I get it. And I'm going to pick on myself for a moment for everybody. I didn't get this at first. Like when I started this company and me and my co-founder Shirag did, and like he's always like, we need data, we need this, we have to. Now I'm just like, we'll get to it. We'll get to it. Years went by and that cost us. It cost us, luckily we had a lot of things that worked well, but the opportunity cost of not even just doing some of the simple things that we could have done, I'm like, man, that cost us, right? So there's a cost to that. And looking at to what you said, there's also a cost to going out there and, just trying to do something that you're not, that you're not aware of. So like just going out there and say, okay, now we need to know about data. So let's go create a team. Let's go start hiring. Let's start like I've seen so many projects blow up or so many, unfortunately, like a year later, whatever. It's like, well, they're supposed to be doing this and they're supposed to be this like pot of gold at the end of all this, but I don't think we ever get to the end. Like I've seen that happen so many times. So I guess how would you compare, like maybe not picking on them, I mean, like how would you compare in-house teams or like consultants? Like give us a view of the landscape overall in your experience.
Yeah, absolutely. So, I spent my background, I spent my career in data and, been part of in-house teams, have advised a bunch of companies on kind of how to do this. I think, with 5X, the big advantage we kind of have is, the modern data stack, as I mentioned earlier, is non-trivial. It's got these 5 layers. You have to sign 5 enterprise contracts. We've built a lot of automation around how to set this up. How do you, set up the stack, make it speak with each other, do security, user permission, have data flowing end to end. So, our starting point is you get the entire stack and a monthly bill based on your actual usage. That's day one for us. Whereas if you're a consultant or you're an in-house team, you're really reinventing the wheel every time you get started. So, it takes 6 months to just sort of set up the stack. That's before you even start getting value from data. We obviously fast forward that, and on day one, you get set up. And the second piece of it is, since we control the stack and we control the engineers, not only are we able to give you a really high quality engineer, but these folks are kind of pre-trained on the stack which we're providing, which is we call this sort of best-in-class stack. As a result, they're sort of productive on day one. So, sort of given the infrastructure as well as the resources, we're just able to do it in a way which is faster, cheaper, and higher quality than, in-house teams or consultants, which kind of start from day one. So, we want to move to a world where, it's just a no-brainer to sort of use 5X to kind of build out your core data layers. And at some point, if you want to do data science or some of the more advanced analytics stuff yourself, that makes perfect sense. That's where some of your competitive advantage can lie. But, for the core data stack for the first 5 layers, it should be a no-brainer to use us for it as a service.
Man, it's a big deal. And so I kind of want to take a step back and let's maybe, I don't even know if I should say speak aspirationally, because it's not an aspiration as in it can't be done, but I mean aspirationally as in there's some people that are listening to this right now that are thinking like, well, yeah, that makes sense, but my company's not there yet, or yeah, that's for that company, but not for us. So when I say speak aspirationally, I want you to maybe unlock in my mind some of the possibilities of what companies could be doing with this data, or even what they should be doing with data. Because I think that, I don't want to assume that everybody has that vision, because I didn't, and I'm picking on myself here. I didn't have that vision in the beginning. Like, I'm like, what? We got this,
totally.
why? Like, whatever. Like, that's not for us. We're not big enough, or we're not this, or we're not that. So all the excuses I just gave you, I know some people are making them out there. And by the way, I'm the one who wrote those and made those excuses to myself initially. But I crossed over. I crossed over to the data side, and then everything that you're talking about, like we've just benefited from unlocking the data. So let me start with the question again. I know that was a little long-winded, but tell me a little bit more about like what companies should be doing with their data.
Sure. Absolutely. So, just at a very macro level, right? No one does data for the sake of doing data. It's always a means to optimize the business. Now, every department in your business can be optimized. What we see is that when companies get sort of started, most often they're really interested in the go-to-market strategy, right? You might be doing different campaigns. You might be spending sort of money online, digitally. You might be on podcasts or blogs or content. And the first thing companies really want to know is, where are our customers coming from? What are the most successful channels over there? How do we sort of figure out, how do we figure out which campaigns are working well, which campaigns are not? And this is, across channels, right? So it's not just across Facebook or across Google, but holistically across your entire go-to-market strategy. So, very often companies start with optimizing go-to-market strategy, getting that sort of customer 360 view of that. Very quickly from then, if you are a product company, you want to figure out, how are customers using my products? Which features are working? Which ones are not? Well, who are the different segments of users? How do we target each of these segments differently? If you are a company which is actually, in manufacturing or producing on retail, how do I optimize my supply chain? How do I make sure that the stores which are selling me always have inventory? If you're a company with a sales force, then, who are my best sales reps? Which market do these sales reps best sell in? For each of these sales reps, what type of leads should I be giving them? For your financial team, a lot of companies produce their monthly finances in a very ad hoc way. Automating this report, so you're actually able to see your sort of cash flow, your accounts receivable, your sort of monthly sales in a more real time and a more repeatable sort of automated way. It saves you the cost of bringing on a sort of financial analyst. So these are some of the sort of core examples of how companies get started, and what are some of the advantages data buys you. And just like with leveraging data and with adding visibility to the business, what comes with visibility is asking better questions. Very often, when you're able to get insights into what's happening, you use that insight to ask better questions. And as you keep asking better questions, you start understanding your business better, which leads to optimizations, which, leads to making sort of increasing revenues, decreasing costs, being able to sort of delight your customers. So, it's an iterative process. And, the sooner you get started with this, the more powerful it is. So I really resonate with kind of what you said earlier about the opportunity cost, along with just the sort of tangible outcomes of what you can expect.
Man, that's awesome. Well, Tarush, I'm inspired here. Now I feel like, man, we need to get even further in data here. I don't know what we need to do. We need to do something. So I'm inspired by this. And I'm sure plenty of our audience were as well. That being said, if somebody's listening to this and they want more information on 5X and they want to connect with you and your team, what's the best way for people to reach out?
Awesome. Yeah. We would love to chat. We're available on all the usual social media channels. Our website at the moment is 5x.company. So 5x.company. Also, you can reach out to us on LinkedIn. We're at 5x. You can reach out to me on my Instagram, which is I am Tarush. My Twitter is just Tarush. Sorry, my Twitter is Tarush, Tarush, or you can email us directly at tarush@5xdata.co.
Fantastic. Well, Tarush, again, thank you for coming on the show today. It really has been a pleasure connecting with you and learning more about 5X. And to the audience, as always, thank you for tuning in. Hope you got a lot of value out of this. Hope you learned a lot. If you did, don't forget, hit that subscribe button. We definitely want you to be a return listener and a return visitor. We have many more mission-based entrepreneurs and business owners coming on the line for you, and we don't want you to miss a thing. And Tarush, again, thank you for coming on the show. It's been a pleasure.
Thank you, Adam. Thanks for having me.